All right, so the featured games this week, Pat, we kind of previewed this one a couple weeks ago. Keiser and St. Thomas. That is going to be a battle in Miami Gardens, Florida. Number one, Keiser going on the road to take on St. Thomas. St. Thomas has played some really good football. Key victory over St. Xavier on the road in Chicago. What a matchup between the Seahawks and the Bobcats for the Sun Conference.
I love these two teams. I think they're two of the very best. I think St. Thomas, arguably, I mean, again, they haven't proven themselves completely yet, but I think they're maybe even higher than the top 8. I think this is a battle. This is a dogfight. I'm anxious to see how St. Thomas, obviously challenges. Does Keiser, has that background, has that pedigree, has that, understanding of what big games are all about, finding ways to win. I think this is going to come down to the wire. I think this is a coin flip either way, watching both teams this year. I think the world of St. Thomas. I think they're a good team. And this is going to be a challenge. Though Kaiser's played some Division IIs. I would guess that this St. Thomas team is going to be every bit of that, if not better, than those Division II teams. I think they're awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, we talked about the 3 phases of the offense: great running back, great wide receivers, great quarterback. So Keiser cannot just focus, maybe as they had done in years past, hey, we're going to shut down this run, and St. Thomas isn't going to be able to do anything against us. And then on the other side of the ball, St. Thomas's defense is tremendous. They ran some schemes against St. Xavier that really slowed them down, caused them not to sling the ball as well as they wanted to, I'm sure. Because of the proximity, they know Keiser pretty well, and they'll have a good game plan. Now, Keiser, too, on the other side, this is the defending national champion. This is a team that has got some tremendously good football players on the defensive side of the ball. Like, I'm with you, Pat. I absolutely love this football game. It's one that I wish teams like this could play each and every week. Unfortunately, they'd just beat one another up and probably not be able to make the postseason then. But I look forward to this one. I've been looking forward to it since last year. Keiser and St. Thomas in that game, if I remember right, there was a lightning delay. So these two teams kind of went at it. I think Keiser got up 20-0 or 17-0 early. Then they had like a couple hour lightning delay and they came back, and it's not a true game. So I'm fingers crossed, hoping for good weather come Saturday and that we can just see these two teams play to the best of their ability so we can really find out who's going to be the best down there. And I'm like you, coin flip. My gut goes Keiser just because of the big games they played this year against Division II teams. But like, he's just sitting there going, man, St. Thomas could do it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, wow, how'd they do it? It's like, yep, we saw this coming. So it's going to be a good one come Saturday. Our next featured game, St. Xavier going to Indiana Wesleyan. Could potentially be a top 10 battle by the time the new ratings come out. But St. Xavier going on the road to Indiana Wesleyan, tough place to play. Indiana Wesleyan, probably going to have a huge crowd there, have everybody fired up. I'm looking forward to watching that one because it's going to be a good game. And also, well, be frankly honest, it's at Indiana Wesleyan, so it's going to be a really well put together broadcast. I love watching their games, man.
Yes, he might be on ESPN3.
Possibly.
Yeah, they have a deal with them. There's not a better place to see a game, watch a game, or live stream, or watch on. I guess it's still streaming on ESPN3. Tough place to play. There is no doubt. I mean that's an environment certainly. So yeah, St. X is gonna have a challenge, and I think Indiana Wesleyan from a defensive standpoint matches up well. I think the key thing is how St. X defends the run and the balance overall of Indiana Wesleyan's offense. So I like that matchup, and we're going to pay close attention to that. With St. X working on trying to get more balance in their offense, they're an air raid team. They want to throw the football. Coach Newell loves throwing. He's like me. I love it. But you got to have some balance. You just do, because the St. Thomas game, they exploited just that one-dimensional side. They did. They played very passive, kept things in front of them, and let their great defensive ends pass rush. Well, Indiana Wesleyan can do the same thing if they want to. So I'm anxious to see that whole plan and how that all shakes out. That's going to be a good game, I think. But it's going to be a tough challenge going into to Marion, Indiana. But it's Marion, Indiana. It's confusing, right? There's Marion University. This is Marion. ION, Indiana, where Indiana Wesleyan is. So
yeah, don't worry. That completely screwed me up early on too. It's like, wait, no. So Marion is in Indianapolis, but then Indiana Wesleyan is in Marion.
And Marion County is the county Indianapolis is in. ION. Real confusing. Oh, yeah. luckily I'm living in Indiana for the last 25 years, and I can figure it out.
You can explain it to a rube like me. Hey, I look at this game, and if Indiana Wesleyan does what they've continued to do on offense week over week, and St. Xavier can't slow that down, it's going to be a long game for the Cougars. I'm just going to be completely honest. Like Indiana Wesleyan, they've got me drinking the Kool-Aid on what they're doing now. But if X's defense can slow them down, and they have figured out, some things that they can do on offense to not have a situation like they had against St. Thomas where they just really couldn't get anything going. They couldn't get any real rhythm. Then we're going to have a ball game. But it's going to start with St. Xavier's defense in this game, Pat. They've got to be able to show that they can get it done.
Totally agree.
Southern Oregon, Montana Tech. Another one in the Frontier Conference, as we have seen in the chat. Going to Butte, back at lunch. Hey, coming to Butte, toughest place to play. I love it. I love the passion of the Frontier fans, and I love, man, I was in Butte this summer. Like, it's just you walk into that town and you're like, oh, I get it now. Like, I get why come to Butte. Mess with us in Butte, man. I dare you. Like that,
I love you said pack a lunch going to Butte, one of the classic greenisms. You know where I'm going with this one?
Yes.
It's like, I like that Butte water. You can eat and drink at the same time.
I love it.
It's awesome.
I love it. But yeah, so Southern Oregon, what we've seen from them on offense and defense, they look like a really complete team. Montana Tech, when they are playing their best football, they are very much the same. They've got the three aspects on offense. They've got a hard-nosed defense. This game's really going to come down to, Pat, like, can Southern Oregon slow up Montana Tech? Can they prevent a guy like Wild Alexander from getting, that 60 and 70-yard hit that keeps Montana Tech in some of these games and kind of helps to, expand that offense a little bit? If Southern Oregon's defense can do that, they're going to have an opportunity to come out of Butte with the victory. But if Montana Tech can hit those big plays and be playing at home, we're going to have a barn burner, and we could be talking about a bunch of one-loss teams now in the Frontier Conference.
I think our person that wrote the message is right. I think Montana Tech at home is at a different level too. I really do.
Yes.
Georgetown's a good team, and I tell you, that was a great football game. But Montana Tech, I thought the fan base, the environment, I think that team plays off that energy too. You can kind of see that, you feel it there. Watching them play in Butte. And I'm with you. I think this is an absolute dogfight once again. Here we go again, talking about the Frontier Conference and dogfight game. But man, I mean, how could it not be? I just, going into Butte in Southern Oregon 3 weeks in a row playing these type of opponents, it's got to wear on you a little bit. I mean, it just has to, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's been a physical 3 weeks. And I'm a huge fan of the Raiders. I really am. But that's a tough challenge. And I'm looking forward to this because of those factors, especially.
Yeah, I still don't know where I'm going to pick this game. The home game for Montana Tech really gets me going that direction. The other thing, too, not only is it a home game for Montana Tech, but it is the first road game of the year for Southern Oregon. So Southern Oregon hasn't packed up all their stuff a couple days early, had to do all the transportation stuff. They got to go to Butte, which is not an easy place to get to. Well, trying to get anywhere from Ashland in general is
no
tough.
Doubt.
So, but those guys are used to it. I mean, they're doing that every year. But kind of the first one of the year, they got to make sure that they come into the game focused. Otherwise, Tech's going to punch them in the mouth, and we're going to be talking, like I said, about a lot of parity in the Frontier Conference. The other featured game, the matchup of the two undefeated teams that
the two undefeateds. I can't wait.
Have not had no idea these teams would be undefeated this time of year. And somebody is going to continue to be undefeated after this one. Cumberland at Campbellsville. Man, I hats off to these programs, these teams, what they've done. I always love it when especially teams like Cumberland and Campbellsville, they've got such a rich history in the NAIA. They kind of linger and occasionally hit that postseason year. I love seeing these teams get the opportunity to challenge for conference titles and potentially make the postseason. They're both sitting in a great spot right now, being undefeated going into this week.
Of all the games that I'd like to visit and watch this week, I could actually get to this one actually if I had to. It's not that far of a trip for me. But what cool environment that'll be in Campbellsville, Kentucky on Saturday with these two teams. And like we said, I don't think anyone had predicted this. I mean, maybe within the programs. Hey guys, we have a great schedule. We're going to be in these football games. We have a chance to win these. I'm sure those coaches are saying those things to their players. But here they are in week 5, 2 undefeated teams. How cool is that? And like you said, I'm on board with you. I mean, teams that have been around for a while. I think Campbellsville's been around since the late 80s, and I think they had a team before that went away. I think 89 they came back, something like that. They've been around a while, and they've always scored points, which I like. And it's a great place. And I think these two schools going out and being undefeated, that's got to be an electric atmosphere on Saturday in Campbellsville, Kentucky.
Looking forward to it. Look forward to what Gillis kid can do for Campbellsville, and what Cumberland's going to be able to do on the road, and really a nice challenge. I think Cumberland, honestly, well, I don't know. I think Cumberland might have a slight upper hand only because they've played Florida Memorial. But then I think back, Campbellsville pulled off that week 1 victory against Pikeville, who's a really good team. The record doesn't reflect it, but they're a tough football team. So I'll have the complete Around the Nation article later on this week. I'll preview these games and a whole lot more, and of course give you my picks at some point tomorrow. Chip's picks on the Victory Sports Network. Couple other games just to keep your eye on. Cumberland's is at Bethel, Valley City State at Dickinson, St. Francis, Indiana at Taylor, Reinhardt and Pikeville go up against one another for one of the first conference battles in the Appalachian Athletic Conference. You got Mayville State at Dakota State. Mayville State has won a couple ball games in a row now. They're going to challenge on the road Dakota State. We got Missouri Valley at Baker, which is about as blue blood of a game as it could possibly be in NAIA football. Pat, your thoughts on these games? Any quick ones for you?
No, they're all going to be good. Really, really good. Excited to see them. I'm going to be at the St. Francis Taylor game. I can tell you that's going to be a dogfight. I wonder if Taylor can rebound, like you said. Not to let a game like the overtime loss to Marion kind of linger. And St. Francis is scoring points. They found themselves a quarterback. The old Cougars are back throwing the football and doing some things offensively. So it's going to be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to that. All these games are interesting without any question. Reinhardt, I think, is a good football team. How are they going to respond after a loss? Pikeville, we've watched them, Jason. They're a good football team. They still haven't won any games. Have they won one?
I don't know if they've won one. I think they're still over. Yeah.
And they're good, man. They're not a bad football team. They're losing to quality opponents in tight games. And, that's going to be, like you said, I completely agree to put on the list to keep your eye on is that game as well.
I think the Valley City State Dickinson game, Pikeville 0-4. I just had to double check there.
Man, crazy.
Crazy. They're a good football team.
Good.
Valley City State goes to Dickinson. That's typically the two best teams in the North Star Athletic Association. Dickinson right now undefeated. They kind of look like they're probably a head above everybody else, and I'll be able to predict that more after this game against Valley City State. Valley City just lost to Mayville. Mayville has been coming around, but then you got Dakota State still undefeated. So that's why I've got these games on here, kind of see how does Mayville do against Dakota State? Do they challenge Dakota State? If so, then maybe that Dickinson game is a little more meaningful when Dickinson and Dakota State play in a couple weeks. I'm with you on Reinhardt and Pikeville. The Appalachian Athletic Conference is wide open. All you have to do to make the playoffs, if you're in that league, is win that league. And even though Pikeville has not won a game, I don't believe they've lost a game in the Appalachian Athletic Conference. So if they just win from here on out, which is what they did last year, they came on strong late and nearly made the postseason. And this is a big one for Pikeville to get. This is a big one for Reinhardt to get because it kind of eliminates that other team from potentially having a tie at the top of the Appalachian Athletic Conference. And I like that Cumberland's Bethel game. I think that's really one of the first times I think Bethel's going to be challenged this year. I want to see what Shannon Housekeeper and his crew from the Cumberlands can do against Bethel, who is a top 5 team right now. And Cumberland's has given them some battles over the years. It will be interesting to see how the Patriots do going on the road to take on the Wildcats in that one.
Yeah. And you go back to I like the Reinhardt Pikeville, what you talked about. 2 weeks in a row now, a long trip for Reinhardt too. That's tough. You lose an emotional win that you think you're in. You have a shot to win against Georgetown. You got to get back in the car and back on the bus to go back to Kentucky a second week. There's some. I love your selections here for keep your eye on games for sure.
Yeah, there's and it's a lot easier this time of year because we get a little bit of a resume to build off of teams like 3-0, 4-1, 3-2. Hey, we got a conference matchup here, so a lot of good football being played in the world of NAIA football.